Alright everyone, welcome back to Call of Duty. Now this video is a little different. It's not going to be gameplay. I'm going to go through my classes, through each one, and I'm going to go through what I use, what guns I run, what perks I run, all that good stuff. What I would recommend, and things like that. I already made a video like this, but since then there's been a lot of guns added, and things have changed. So my classes have changed big time. So I'm gonna go through all my classes and kind of show you guys what I run, why I run it, what I would recommend in terms of the other, like the perks, lethals and all that kind of stuff. This is more in case you're like a noob, because obviously I'm not the best in the world. I'm not amazing at the game or anything like that, and I don't pretend to be. But if you're a little bit of a noob, or you're kind of new to the game, or you're just trying to figure out, you know, what are the good guns, what can I use, how do I get better, maybe this will help you. You know, if you have any tips for me to get better, for something that you think that I'm doing that's the wrong attachment, or any recommendations for better attachments of something that I'm using that if I change it for something else will make the gun better, just let me know now in the comments. I'm more than welcome to the feedback. This is by no means set in stone or a fact what I'm going to tell you. This is just my opinion. So you know, take it for what it is, which is my opinion. So let's get started. First, I have my sniper class. Why is it first? Because I love sniping. That's why it's first. Sniping is my favorite thing to do. I know right now my favorite is down here, but that's because that was my gold grind class, and now I've just since changed it, but I never took the favorite off. If I did have to put a favorite, it would be this one, which I just did, the sniper class. I personally think that the best sniper in the game is the X50. It's my favorite one to use, and I run it like this. I run it with everything to make it scope as quickly as possible, because I like quick scoping. I don't like staring at corners and not moving. I like quick scoping, flying around with my sniper, picking people off. It's my favorite, one of my favorite things to do in the game. So I run the 17-inch factory barrel, which helps with the ADS speed and movement speed. Attack laser, which helps with ADS speed, aiming stability, and aim walking steadiness. The Singuard arms assassin, which helps with the ADS speed. I run focus in case you're getting shot and you need to shoot back, so you're not moving all over the place and it's easier to react. It's very important because there's a lot of times where I'm getting hit and it feels like, you know, it's one of those situations where you normally without focus you would be dead because there's no way you can get a shot on them unless you get lucky, and I just bop right in the forehead and I survive. And then the simple grip for ADS speed and sprint to fire speed. Simple grip is a staple. Use it on a lot of weapons, just because it helps with the ADS speed so much that you use it for a lot of weapons. With this, I don't run overkill. I run the M19 Akimbos. I really love these guns. They're nasty. They're underrated in my opinion. They're probably the best Akimbos in the game in my opinion, other than maybe the Snake Shot 357s. Those were nerfed though, but I still like these better. I run the mono suppressor for damage range. I don't care about the sound suppression. It's for the damage range. XRK L Super Barrel, which helps the damage range as well, and the bullet velocity and the recoil control. You could use one that gives you even more range, but not by a whole lot. It just reduces it too much, and then this reduces the range for mobility. I personally like this one the most. I feel like it's the most balanced and gives you good range and makes this gun that much more potent. I run the 5 megawatt laser for hip fire accuracy and sprint to fire speed because you're not ADSing with this. It's akimbo, so you're not ADSing. The lightweight trigger for fire rate, and then the akimbos obviously is the last attachment. We run with 2 of them. These guns are super fun to use. You fly around, they melt, they're really good. And I highly recommend, if you want to try out any akimbo pistols, these will be the ones to try out because they're that good. And I highly recommend it. Perks wise, the thing with perks and lethals, which is kind of hard to kind of go through, and why I'm not going to go through them in every single class, I'm going to go through them once right now, is because it depends on who you're playing and it depends on the map, right? So let's start with the perks. This depends on what map you're playing on, what mode you're playing, and who you're playing against. Okay, so if you're playing, let's say, Search and Destroy, for example, and you want to rush with a speedy weapon, you want to run double time and you want to run stims, which are in the tacticals grenades when we get to that in a second, because the stims will refresh your tactical sprint, so you'll be able to sprint for longer and get to your spot quicker, and you can rush a lot more effectively. However, if you're playing Respawn, or you're playing Search and Destroy or even Warzone, and you're getting killed by RPGs or grenades, or you're in a map that has a high frequency of that, like Shoot House, Shipment, maybe even Rust. I feel like there's a few other ones that you probably gonna want to run EOD on. But that just takes time playing the game and like knowing the maps and who you're playing against. If you're playing against a team that's using a lot of explosives, you're gonna run EOD. You're gonna switch to that. That's what you're gonna run. I pretty much never run scavenger. I don't really see this ever being a problem. I don't need to resupply ammo. If you ever run out of ammo, just pick up the person you just killed's weapon. Use that one. That's what I would recommend. Cold-blooded is more for Warzone, or if you have somebody in the other team who's using thermal. If you have somebody on the other team who's using a thermal, then you're going to want to throw on cold-blooded. It doesn't negate it. I mean, they can still kind of see you, but it makes it a little bit harder, and it helps you a little bit. Kill chain, it's good, but I wouldn't use it in this first slot. It was better when it was in the second slot, but in this first slot, I wouldn't really use it. It's not terrible. You can kind of maybe use it. I wouldn't really use it. I never use it. But that's just me. Quick fix, again, same thing. Unless you're playing like domination or like whatever objective based mode there that I could headquarters or something like that. Quick fix is okay. It's not something that you will regularly run. For the most part, you're going to stick to cold-blooded, EOD, or double time. It's going to be one of those three depending on map, who you're playing against, and how you want to play. Then comes the next perk. Right now I have Ghost on because my team was getting destroyed when I was sniping, so they were getting UAVs all over the place. I obviously don't have a launcher or AR or something like that to shoot the UAV, so I was running Ghost. So I switched to Ghost. But there's also other options. Restock is a good one because obviously it restocks your equipment, so you get your tacticals and your lethals back, whatever you have equipped, and you can keep reusing them. So that's pretty much the second one you would go to right there. Then there's obviously Overkill, which is dumb in my opinion and broken. It should be like it was in other Call of Duties where there's a certain amount of points you can use per class. Overkill takes up a lot of those, so if you use that, you might not be able to put full attachments on weapons, something like that, because you can have two fully decked out guns with Overkill. I very rarely use this. I think I have, like I said, two classes: the Bruin class with the shotgun and the 725 M4 You Made Me Do It class with Overkill. Other than that, I don't really use it at all, except for Warzone. But that in Warzone you have to, because you need an SMG and an AR/LMG or sniper. So in Warzone, Overkill you kind of have to use, but in Respawn or in Search and Destroy you don't need to use Overkill, and I pretty much don't use Overkill. I would rather run Ghost or Restock personally. High Alert's not bad. I never used this until I had a challenge to do it when I was trying to do some of the operator challenges. It's not bad. It's actually not bad at all. You can see when enemies are looking at you, when they see you, your screen, wherever direction they're looking from, will glow yellow. It'll like pulse yellow, and you'll see, okay, somebody's looking at me from over there, and you can quickly look over there and maybe even get a few kills off of that. But I wouldn't really run it all the time. I barely run it. I feel like Restock and Ghost are better, so that's why it's kind of down the list, and I wouldn't really use it that much. But it's not bad. It's not a terrible perk. I don't have any issues with anybody who will run it. I don't think it's a bad perk to run, but I personally don't run it. Then there's Hardline, where your kill streak costs one less kill. To be honest, you don't really need to run this. If you get better at the game, or you're halfway decent at the game, one less kill isn't that important to waste a perk on, right? I'd rather use Ghost or Restock or High Alert or Overkill or even Point Man than I would use Hardline, because Hardline, it's just one less kill. It's not that big of a difference enough to actually use that perk. Then there's Point Man, which just changes the kill streaks. Instead of kills, it's game score. So you can get kill streaks by just like capturing objectives and by getting assists and stuff like that instead of getting kills. I don't really run it because I don't need to. I always go for as much kills as I can get. I do play objective. It's not that I'm not an objective player, but I feel like Point Man is kind of useless. I don't see any real point in using it over the other perks, because remember, if you're gonna use it, it will be over one of these perks, and the other perks are just better. There's no reason to run that over any of these other perks except maybe Hardline, because Hardline is just as useless. But besides the point, those are the perks. Then there's Shrapnel. Shrapnel helps you have two lethal equipment, so like you can have two C4s in Warzone where I use it, or two frags, or Semtexes, or thermites, or Molotovs, or proximity mines. Don't see any. Gas grenade. No, gas grenade is tactical. I think I got them all. But the point is, it lets you have two of those. It's a pretty good perk. I run it a lot. Depending on the map, though, of course, this all changes, like I said, depending on who you want to play and how you want to play. Specifically, this one too, because if you want to run like that, you want to run two frags and double frag, like in Search off spawn or something, you can do that. If you want to just want to run double frags in general, you can do that. It's kind of a niche thing, where like it depends. Well, it can be, right? If you just want to run double lethals all the time, then you're just gonna run shrapnel all the time, right? But if you change it up depending on the map and all that stuff, then it's more of a niche thing. Like, okay, this map is one where I can double frag here, or you know, there's a lot of spots here where I can grenade, or people like to camp in this one building, so I'm gonna run double grenades to get them out of that building. If you're in respawn or something like that, that would be why you run shrapnel. Amped is for faster weapon swap and reload speed. I've run this one a lot because I'm running launchers, and you want to be able to switch to your launcher and shoot quickly. So if you look at my launcher classes that I have with launchers down here, they're all gonna have amped. See, that one has amped, because you want us to be able to switch to that launcher quickly and then be able to reload it quickly as well, and that's what the amp does. So that that also depends. It's weapon swap in general too. So if you want to run super fast, you want to be able to swap quickly between weapons, amped is the perk for you. Then there's tune up, reduces the charge of time of field upgrades. So you know, dead silence and the recon drone and all those will recharge quicker. This is not a bad perk to use. Depends how you want to play. If you want to run a lot of dead silence, this is not a bad perk because it'll recharge it quickly and you can reuse the dead silence over and over again. So it's not a bad perk. Battle harden, this is one of those that you change depending on playstyle. There's certain maps where you would use battle harden. Shoot house for one. Is one, especially in search, because you get flashed a lot there. There's a lot of flash grenades, stun grenades. People are starting to use now snapshot grenades. This negates those, so and pretty much keeps you immune to them. So it depends who you're playing. If you're getting stunned a lot, switch to battle hardened. If you're getting killed a lot with the snapshot grenade through walls, switch to battle hardened. It'll save you. That's what I mean by it changes depending who you're playing, how you want to play, what map you're playing in, and what mode you're playing in. There's a lot of factors that go into what perks you want to use. Then there's spotter. This one helps you see and hack, you know, the enemy equipment, you know, claymores, proximity mines, C4, and trophies, as it says right there. It's not bad. I used it for a challenge. It's not bad. But usually I wouldn't really run it. I run, you know, battle hardened, shrapnel, amped, or tune up. One of these four usually. But it's not a bad perk. None of these are really that bad. The last slot, perk 3, none of them are really that bad. But it would just be like certain situations. Like if you have a team that's claymore camping really hard, this could be one that you switch to, so you can, one, see them, and two, hack them and maybe even kill them with their own claymores, which would then become your claymores. But you get the point. But other than that, I really don't see that much of a use for it, just because the equipment, like the prox mines, the claymores, C4s, stuff like that. C4s, for one, people don't just throw them and leave them stuck to a wall. They're gonna throw them and explode them on your head. So you can pretty much cross that out of there. Trophy systems, yeah, you can see the trophy system. Good for you. Like you can't, you're gonna break it anyway. Like it's not gonna, you can't, and you can hack it technically, but like you really aren't gonna hack a trophy system. This is more for claymores and proximity mines. So if somebody's if you're playing a team that's camping a lot with those, you can use this. But other than that, I really don't feel like there'd be that much of a use for spotter. But it's not a terrible perk because you won't die to claymores and proximity mines and whatever. Tracker, it's not, again, this is not a terrible perk. You can see the footsteps left behind by somebody, so you can kind of track them, hence tracker. But I just feel like the other perks are better, and you would run those instead for that purpose. Like, I don't feel like if you have decent game sense, you should be able to figure out where people are pretty easily. You can hear them, and if you like one of the things you always have to do in this game is be always attentive to the map. A lot of times if they shoot or whatever, they'll ping up on the map, you can see them, so you really don't need tracker that much. It's not like super important that you would waste this slot on tracker, in my opinion. But I mean, none of these are bad. So like if you run any of these, I mean, do it at your own risk with these two, but like at the same time, I mean, it can work out for you depending on who you're playing against on the map and all that. So, but again, like I said, this is very dependent on what map you play on, which team you're playing, and how they play, how you want to play, and what mode you're playing in. So you gotta be cognizant of those four things before you decide which perks you want to use. Right now, this is what I was using. I was using the cold-blooded because there was a thermal sniper, and I wanted to make it harder. It was weird. It was a thermal sniper, but he wasn't using smokes. But I threw on cold-blooded to make it harder for him to see me, and it worked out. And Ghost because my team was just getting clapped. And I ran shrapnel because I was playing Sawmill, and in Sawmill there's a lot of places you can throw grenades like deep, like you can throw them far and get kills. So I run double frags. I also run double frags on shoot house for the same reason. And I run stims because a lot of times when I'm sniping and I get tagged, I can quickly get to cover, heal, pop back out and snipe, and they won't expect it. So I get a lot of kills that way, and I run stims a lot when I'm sniping. But nonetheless, that's how it is. Let's just go through these quickly. Claymores, pretty front and center there on that one. If you want to sit in a room or sit on a specific spot and you want to protect your ass, or you know people like to camp in a certain building and you want to keep them from getting in that building, Claymores are your answer to that. Of course, EOD solves that problem for the other team. But if you run if you run shrapnel and you have 2 Claymores and you stack them, they'll die even if they have EOD. Frags, the good old frag, you can cook it, you can kill them. That's the way it works. And these are the trusty old faithfuls right here. These are good to run. Molotovs, usually these are more reserved for riot shields. Although I personally think the thermite is better and I run that. Molotovs are usually primarily reserved for riot shields. C4, this I feel like is more for Warzone, or you could run it in respawn and even in search. If you know somebody's camping in a certain building or something, you can toss it in there and explode it. But for the most part, I feel like this is more of a Warzone weapon, but this is really important in Warzone. And we'll get to that when I get to my Warzone classes. Then we have the Semtex grenade. Semtex grenades are really good in hardcore. They're not bad in core, but they're really good in hardcore. There's just you don't have to cook it. You just throw it. It explodes right when it gets there if it's far, and if it's close, you can try to stick somebody with it or something like that. So that's where that would be. Throwing knife. This is more of a troll weapon, or if you're really good with throwing knives, you want to go for clips, you can throw a throwing knife in there. But again, this all depends on how you want to play, what map you're playing on. Like if you're on Arklov Peak, for example, I wouldn't recommend throwing knives. It's a very big map, very open spaces. Hitting a throwing knife and not getting killed in the process is going to be not very easy. It's going to be very difficult. So I would recommend running something else, maybe frags or semtexes, or claymores if you're going to sit in a building. But that's what I would say. Proximity mines are kind of like a little bit worse versions of claymores, in my opinion. They're not bad, but they're just a little bit worse. They have a light that makes them easier to see. They're easy to dodge because you can just lay down if you hear it. So in my opinion, claymores are a little bit better, but nonetheless, they kind of run the same purpose. Anyway, thermites. These are the riot shield killers. You throw this right onto a riot shielder, right on the riot shield, or them obviously. But if they're blocking with the riot shield, you just throw right onto the riot shield. If you run shrapnel, you can throw 2 of them right on the riot shield. If they have EOD, they're dead. If they don't have EOD, one of them should do the trick. Especially in hardcore. These are really good in hardcore too, because you one hit people with it. If they're near it, when you throw it and it sticks to wherever it sticks to, they're dead. So this is really good in hardcore. Tacticals, you got flashes, you got stuns. These are the 2 go-tos. In search, stuns are more the go-to because you want to slow down rush routes, slow down just routes in general, and slow down your team, the other enemy team. So stuns are probably the way to go in search. And respawn flash grenades are pretty good too, though. You can use those. Snapshots aren't bad either because you can see people through walls if they don't have battle hardened. Smokes, if you're running thermals, that'll be the only reason to run smokes. Or if you want to smoke off a line of sight to get through a certain route in search, you can use smokes for that as well. Heartbeat sensor, this is more reserved for Warzone. I have seen people use it in respawn and in search as well, actually, but I feel like it's more reserved for Warzone than anything else. Stims, this one is more reserved for respawn. In Warzone, in search, I don't really see a reason to use stims above any of the other ones here. This is more reserved for respawn, I feel like, but nonetheless, they're not bad. Decoys, these are kind of useless. There's really no point to them. Maybe you can use them in like a sneaky way in search, where you like throw it on the other side of the map and you make them think that you're over there because they see the shots or something, and then you run to like the other side of the map or something. But otherwise, in that one very specific situation, they're kind of useless. No one really uses these ever, and pretty much I can't think of the last time that I played in a match somebody was using decoys, because they're kind of pointless. They're useless. Gas grenades are not pointless or useless. They're very annoying because you get stuck in them if they do a good throw and you're actually in the gas. You're coughing, you can't do really much, and you're kind of a sitting duck for a little bit until the gas goes away. And it kind of blocks your sight a little bit. Not as much as a smoke would, you can still see through the gas, but it still blocks your sight a little bit, and they're annoying. But I still would put the stun and flash above that. And again, it depends what you're playing, what map you're playing, how you want to play. Alright, so let's continue with the classes. This is my sweaty SMG class. This is if I get killed a lot by MP5s, or if I'm playing against a team that I can tell is sweating their ass off, I'm going to switch to my sweaty SMG. As long as they're not using M4s or 725s, I will switch to my sweaty SMG, which is the MP5, and I will go to work. This MP5 class is different than my Warzone MP5 class. It's a very different class. So this is the... I run the monolithic integral suppressor. You can also run the regular mono suppressor, but they're basically the same thing, but I personally like the mono suppressor, the integral one, better. I don't know, it's just the one I've always used, and I kind of enjoy that one better than the regular one. Or not always used, I've used the regular one as well, but I like this one better. I just like the way it feels better for whatever reason. I won the 1 megawatt laser. Wow, I couldn't speak there for a second. For hip fire accuracy, the collapsible stock, for ADS speed and movement speed, 45 round mags, because I want to reload as least as possible, especially since I'm not running sleight of hand with this one, and Merc foregrip for hip fire accuracy as well. In reality, I could take off the collapsible stock or something and run sleight of hand or whatever, but personally I prefer running it this way. It melts, it's good. That's just the way. Everything else would just be for ADS speed anyway. It wouldn't be for damage or anything like that. So this is what I run on my MP5. Right now I'm running the Joker secondary. For that reason, you see I have double time and stims, because this is the one that I like to be mobile with. I like to get the game started and get to a spot and get to be able to rush in before they're expecting me in certain spots and get free kills from it. That's where I run stims and double time with my SMGs. This is the You Made Me Do It class that I was saying, with the M4 and the 725. This is what I wrote on the 725. Sawed off barrel, which gives you ADS speed, movement speed, wider pellet spread. It's supposed to reduce your damage, but it really doesn't. It's bugged, and it doesn't really reduce your damage at all. It's still nasty. The 1 megawatt laser for sprint to fire speed, because, well, you need it in this gun. That's what shotguns are for. The Merc foregrip is for recoil control and ADS speed. I could technically use something else with that isn't for that, because it's not, recoil is not that big a problem. I do it more for ADS speed than anything else. Like I could run like the sawed off stock or something to give me even quicker ADS speed and movement speed. But personally, this is the way I like to use it. It's still really fast moving because I use the stim grip, which gives you ADS speed and sprint to fire speed, and then obviously sleight of hand is very important. So it's still fast. I don't feel like I need to run the stock. I feel like this is pretty good the way it is. It's broken and I hate using it, but unfortunately I've had to use it multiple times because people like to still use this gun in 2020. You have no friends if you do that. I don't want to be friends with you. You smell like cheese. Take a shower. This is the M4. Again, I don't want to run this, but I have to sometimes, and it's annoying. This M4 is different than when you would see most M4s. But people who play this game like regularly, because a lot of times they'll use it more like an SMG. They'll have a lot of ADS speed stuff on it, as well as the range. I have it for more aiming stability than ADS speed. It doesn't ADS super slow or anything. It's still decently quick ADS. It's not super fast, but it's not like super slow. With the way I have this set up, it is an absolute beam. It does not move. It has barely any recoil, and I have the 60 round mags to make sure that I barely ever have to reload when I'm fighting people. So this is the class that I run personally, and I run it that way because I have the 725. So when I'm close combat, I'm going through buildings or anywhere where there's close quarters fighting that can happen, I run with the 725 out, and then when I get into the area that I can shoot long range, then I run my M4. But again, I don't want to run these. These are only when people are being annoying and have no friends. I need to take showers, and are using those guns in 2020. That's why the class is called You Made Me Do It, because I don't want to do it, but if you kill me with it, I will do it. This used to be my PKM class, but because the Bruin was put in and it's better than the PKM, I switched to the Bruin. This is the Bruin that I run. I have the 60 round mags, skeleton stock for ADS speed, these two for range, the XRK Summit 26.8 barrel, and the mono suppressor for range, and the mini reflex optic sight for because I don't like the iron sights on the Bruin that much. They take up a lot of the screen and it's hard to see, so I run a sight on it regularly. But this is what I run. This is the one like real class. I don't really count the You Made Me Do It class. That's just for people who are being annoying. This is the only real class that I run with overkill, and it's because the fact that the Bruin is made more for stability and range than for quick ADS speed. I use the VLK Rogue in the closed tight quarters fights as opposed to the Bruin. This is what I run on the VLK. I run the Force Attack Marauder suppressor because it gives you better damage range. I could have run the Mono suppressor, but the Force Attack Marauder is better. Attack laser for ADS speed, aiming stability, and wind walking steadiness. I do ADS with this shotgun quite a bit more than I would with any other shotgun, just because when you have to shoot multiple times, it's easier to control the recoil when you're ADS'd. So that's why I do that. I run the Dragon Best rounds because they're freaking fun to use and I like using them. Stipple grip as always. ADS speed, sprint to fire speed, and sleight of hand because that's very important, especially with shotguns in this game. And then I have my hipfire vector class. Like I said, I love SMGs, so I have my SMGs are my favorite gun in the game. I've said it multiple times. I have 3 SMG classes, 2 of which are hipfire SMG classes. This is the first one. I have the ZLR 18-inch deadfall barrel, which increases damage range, recoil control, bullet velocity. I don't really care about the sound suppression. It reduces ADS speed, but I don't really care because I'm not ADSing with this anyway. I have the 5 megawatt laser, which increases the hipfire accuracy and the sprint to fire speed. The Merc foregrip for hipfire accuracy and recoil control. Sleight of hand as always, and the 40 round drug mag because you can't run with the 25. This gun is super fun to use. It looks really nice. It melts through people, and when you're hip firing and flying around, it's super fun. Another one that I have double time and stims on because when you're running this class, you want to be fast, you want to be quick, you want to get to certain spots, and you can mow through whole teams with this gun. Just like the next one. The next one has the potential to mow through the teams better than this one, but this one can still do that as well. The next one is the Hipfire MP7. I don't have it super oriented to like mobility like the Vector would be, because I have these 2 for range because I want to give it a little bit more range. Though this thing, like I said, you can cross map people with it. When it's like this, I've done it on this class, which isn't set fully for range, but you can cross map people with this thing. It has really good range for an SMG. But damage range with the suppressor, damage range, bullet velocity, recoil control with the recon, 5 megawatt laser again for hip fire accuracy, sprint to fire speed, Merc foregrip again, recoil control, hip fire accuracy, and 60 round mags. You can run the 50 round mags to increase your ADS speed and movement speed a little bit, but I personally like the 60 round mags a lot better. It means I have to reload less. I can kill more people before reloading. That's why I run that one. Again, double time stim as always. Then this used to be my M13 class, but I switched it because the Jalil is just really freaking good, or the CR56 AMAX. When you first get this gun, it seems like ass until you unlock the XRK Zodiac S440 barrel, and then it becomes nasty. This increases damage range, bullet velocity, and recoil control. It basically negates the recoil. There's very little recoil. Well, on this class specifically, there's very little recoil. Very little recoil. Like, it's easy, super easy to control. Obviously, the mono suppressor for damage range as well. I run the CR56 XO for ADS speed and for in-walking movement speed. The 56 stipple wrap, which is basically stipple grip tape for ADS speed, sprint to fire speed, and the Commando foregrip for recoil control, just for that extra little touch to the negation of the recoil. I tell you, this class barely has any recoil at all, and it can cross map, and it's a laser. It's my favorite AR in the game. It's my go-to AR, and it's the one I use consistently and will be using consistently going forward, at least until they come out with something better. These are my 3 Warzone classes. These are the 3 classes I run in Warzone. I have my Ghost class, which I run the Bruin with the RPG and obviously Ghost. Cold-blooded, because in Warzone a lot of people use thermal snipers and thermal ARs, so you want to run cold-blooded. I have amped on this class just because it has an RPG, so in case I come in late and I want to just use this class and not actually have the other classes switch, just to get Ghost and then keep my MP5 and not have the rocket, right? If I want to just run this class in Warzone, I want to have amps so I can switch my weapons quicker, especially with the RPG. C4s are a must in my opinion in Warzone, so you can destroy cars, you can destroy helicopters, you can throw them into buildings that people are camping in, like through windows. If they're already down, you can thirst them. If they're on a roof, you can throw it up there and thirst them or down them. So I feel like C4s are very, very important. Normally I would run shrapnel to have 2 C4s, but like I said, I want to be able to switch between my RPG and my LMG very quickly in this class if I'm running this class, so I have amped. The heartbeat sensor is also very important. In Warzone, I feel like this is where it is the bread and butter. It's required. I feel like it has to be your tactical, because you can see people that are around you using the heartbeat sensor. I think it's within 50 meters. If you don't run a heartbeat sensor, I don't know what to tell you. I don't know what you would replace the heartbeat sensor with, but I feel like it's a must to run the heartbeat sensor. This is the class I run. This is not my class. I did not come up with this class. I did not figure this class out. I saw Nick Merckx run this class. I tried it out, and it is absolutely nasty. The Bruin is just the go-to gun right now. Everyone's using it. I've seen all the pro, or not pro players, but like all the big players, the streamers, all those guys. They've all used this gun, even pro players. I mean, there are pro players that are using this gun. It's nasty. It is nasty. But like I said, this is Nick Merckx build, not mine. I do not take credit for that at all. But this is what he runs and what I run. The mono suppressor, which increases damage range. The XRK Summit 26.8-inch barrel, which increases damage range, bullet velocity, and recoil control. The tack laser for ADS speed and aiming stability and aim walking steadiness. The hollow sight, which works really well for whatever reason. I don't normally like that sight, but with this gun it works really, really well. The 60 round mags, which also helps with ADS speed, sprint to fire speed, movement speed, and it's a detachable magazine that you can just reattach. But this gun melts. It is the go-to gun. It is the number one right now, above the Grau, above the M4. It is the number one, especially after the Grau got nerfed. This is the number one. This is the one that you want to run. This is my sniper class, so I run my MP5. Now, like I said, my Warzone MP5 is different than the one you already saw. This one, I don't run a stock. I don't run the 1 megawatt laser. I run sleight of hand. I run stipple grip for ADS speed, obviously reload speed. Still the 40-pound round mags. It's a must because you're going to be fighting probably more than one person, especially if you're in duos, trios, or quads. You're going to be running up against more than one person. You're going to want to reload quickly, which is why I have sleight of hand, and you're going to want a lot of rounds, so you don't have to reload as many times. Which is why I run the 45 round mags, and then the Merc 4 grip for aiming stability and also for hipfire accuracy. And obviously still the monolithic integral suppressor. This is the car that I run in Warzone. It's the only place I run the car. It's super fun to use. As you can look out at the bottom left, the range is insane on this thing. It can one-shot pretty much across map, if you headshot, of course. And it's really fun to use. I have the F-Tac Sport Cone, which helps the ADS speed, the stipple grip, which helps the ADS speed, and sprint to fire speed. I have the sniper scope on it, which increases the range. I have the Singard 27.6 custom barrel, which increases the range, velocity, and recoil control. And then the mono suppressors I have on pretty much every weapon because it's the best attachment in the game. It increases damage range. That's the sniper. That's what I run. And as always, C4 heartbeat sensor. Then this is the Bruin MP5. So you've seen both of these already. They're just together now in one class. This is the main class I would pick out first out of a loadout early game as like my main class. And then eventually hopefully get the Ghost class later on with the second loadout. But this is the main one right here. This is the one you want to run. If you don't run an MP5, I wouldn't know what else to run. Maybe an MP7, but I feel like the MP5 is just too good not to run it. It's the SMG to run in Warzone. You need to have that MP5 to go along with your secondary so that you can get those close range fights, but also you can finish off some like some of the longer range kills or medium range kills, not necessarily long range, but medium range kills. And then you can down the close guys, finish them off with your secondary, which in this case is the Bruin. You're just gonna want that always in your back pocket to make sure that you can get those close quarters fights and win them consistently. That's how you're gonna do it. It's gonna be with these two guns. These are the ones you're gonna want to run. Again, this is more for people who are newer to the game or who are trying to get better at the game and aren't really that great at the game and they want to get better. This is what I would recommend running. Again, I'm not amazing at this game by any stretch of the imagination. I'm not a pro or anything crazy, but this is what I would recommend running. As well as, you know, like I said, the perks depends on the map you're playing, the mode you're playing, who you're playing against, how you want to play. So that just depends on you and what you want to run, and what the strengths you want and the weaknesses you want in certain matches are and certain maps. But those are my classes. That's what I run. They're very different than when I did this video originally. I don't think any of these classes are the same, except maybe my SMG class and the M4 75 class. These might be the only two that are the same. I think so. Everything else is different because I adapt as new weapons come out. As I've used all the weapons now, I tend to like, because when I did the first one I hadn't used all of the weapons yet. I hadn't grinded them all. Now I have, and so I found other weapons that I really like the Vector, like the MP7, like the Jaleel, like the Bruin, and I like using them. Like the M19, same thing with my Akimbos. I figured out that I like using them because I use them basically. So what I can tell you, that if you use these and you don't necessarily like them, just use stuff. Like, that's the only way you're gonna know what you want to run. It's by running things. Just experiment, try guns. You never know which one you're gonna like. I really like the M13, even though I don't have a class for it, and I wouldn't have known that if I hadn't actually used the M13 consistently for a decent amount of matches. Right? I'm not saying to grind them to gold or platinum or anything like that, but just use them for a decent amount of matches and see, get attachments that you think would be good for it, and then you can kind of figure out, what you like and what runs best for you. But in my opinion, these are the best ones to run right now, and this is what I run. And yeah, those are my classes. So if you made it this far, thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. If you liked it, make sure to drop a like, make sure to subscribe, as always. Check out the social medias, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, The Real Ace Plays. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed. I hope you learned a little something from it. And like I said, if you see an attachment that I'm running that I shouldn't be running, then I should replace it with something else on any of the guns that I showed you, or a perk, or a grenade, a tactical, or a lethal, or anything like that you have a recommendation on that I'm not doing correctly, just let me know in the comments below. I'm more than welcome to feedback. You can tweet at me and let me know on Twitter or on Instagram, or even on a TikTok. So just let me know if you have any recommendations. But if not, I hope you learned a little something from the video. Thank you for watching again, and as always, I will see you guys in the next one.